Good evening, my friends. Tonight, I want you to notice something very simple before we go any further. Think back to something ordinary you experienced yesterday. Not a huge event, just a normal moment. Maybe it was a conversation, a cup of coffee, or a short drive somewhere. Hold that memory in your mind for a second and pay attention to how it feels. There's no struggle attached to it. You are not hoping it happened. You are not trying to believe it was real. There's no uncertainty, no emotional tension, no need to force conviction. It simply exists in your awareness as something completed, finished, settled. It carries a calm kind of certainty because your mind already accepts it as fact. That quiet feeling is the exact state you must bring to your desires. Not excitement about something coming soon, not wishful thinking, not even confidence that it will arrive someday. I'm talking about the natural feeling of something already experienced, something already lived through. And when you truly enter that state inwardly, not pretending, not acting, but genuinely feeling it, something remarkable begins to happen. The distance between you and what you want starts to disappear. Reality begins reorganizing itself around the inner experience you have accepted as real. Most people unknowingly make one major mistake. They think about their dreams as future events. They imagine success someday. They picture love arriving later. They believe happiness will begin after certain conditions are met. When I make more money, I'll finally feel safe. When I meet the right person, I'll feel whole. When I achieve this goal, my life will improve. But look carefully at what is happening underneath those statements. Every time you place your desire in the future, you are silently confirming that you do not have it now. And that matters more than people realize. When you say, I will become successful, your present state is still identifying with not being successful. When you say, one day I'll find love, your consciousness is still rooted in loneliness. Even hopeful statements often contain hidden messages of absence. And because creation responds to your current state of being, not your wishes, not your words, but your inner identity, you continue reproducing the same experience over and over again. The mind receives the message clearly, not yet, and life reflects it back faithfully. This is why so many people spend years visualizing, affirming, and waiting without seeing real change. They are always mentally reaching toward their desire instead of living from it. They are chasing what they should already be embodying inwardly. Tonight, I want to show you a completely different approach. Stop looking ahead at your desire. Start looking back from it. That may sound strange at first, but think about how memories work. When something belongs to your past, you don't chase it emotionally. You don't wonder if it will happen. You don't beg reality to make it true. You simply know it already occurred. It has become part of your personal experience. That is the state that transforms reality. A memory feels natural, stable, undeniable. It doesn't need constant effort to remain believable. You don't wake up every morning trying to convince yourself yesterday existed. The certainty is automatic because your consciousness has already accepted it. Imagine bringing that same inner certainty to your desire. Not desperation, not obsession, not emotional strain, just the calm knowing of completion. This is where people often misunderstand manifestation. They think power comes from intense emotion, endless repetition, or forcing positive thoughts all day long. But true creative power comes from acceptance, from inward finality, from becoming so internally aligned with the fulfilled reality that it feels normal to you. Because consciousness always expresses what it believes is presently true. The present moment is the only point where life is ever experienced. There is no actual future to move into. Everything unfolds in the eternal now. So if your desire always remains mentally ahead of you, it can never fully arrive. You keep recreating the experience of waiting because waiting has become your dominant state. But the moment your inner world shifts from I want this to this is already part of my reality, everything changes. Your energy changes, your reactions change, your expectations change, and reality begins reflecting the new assumption. This does not mean pretending outwardly or lying to yourself. It means emotionally relocating your identity. It means becoming familiar with the feeling of fulfillment before physical evidence appears. Think about how peaceful, completed things feel. There's no urgency attached to them, no panic, no chasing. The experience is finished, and because it feels finished, your mind rests. That resting state is powerful. When you constantly check for results, you are unconsciously declaring that results are absent. When you worry about timing, you reinforce separation. But when you quietly accept something inwardly as done, your entire relationship with reality shifts. You stop trying to force life to give you something because inwardly you no longer feel deprived of it. And strangely enough, that is often when things move fastest. The world begins catching up to the identity you have accepted within yourself. Opportunities appear naturally. Circumstances rearrange themselves. People respond differently to you, not because you manipulated the outside world, but because your inner state changed first. You must understand this deeply. Consciousness responds to what feels real to you now, not what you hope will happen later. So tonight, stop treating your dream like a distant possibility. Stop placing it somewhere ahead of you in time. Instead, allow yourself to feel the quiet certainty of completion. Let it become emotionally familiar. Let it settle into you the way yesterday's memories have settled into you. No strain, no force, no desperation. Just the calm, natural feeling that it is already part of your life experience. And once that feeling becomes real within you, reality has no choice but to mirror it. There is a completely different state of mind that changes the way manifestation works. And it is not the usual process of imagining something ahead of you. It is not about constantly seeing your desire coming closer. The real shift happens when you begin relating to your dream the same way you relate to a memory. Calm, settled, ordinary. Like something that already became part of your life a long time ago. And this is what I want to give you tonight. You can actually create the feeling of remembering a future experience before it physically happens. You can mentally move beyond the moment of receiving your desire and enter the emotional space where it already feels normal. When you do this sincerely, your subconscious mind accepts it as reality because the subconscious does not separate a vividly felt imagined memory from a real one. To it, both are experiences, both are impressions, and once it accepts something as true, everything within you begins aligning around that truth. Your thoughts shift, your behavior changes naturally. You notice opportunities you once ignored. You speak differently. You walk into rooms differently. You begin moving through life from the identity of someone who already has what they once wanted. And without forcing the process, reality starts building the path to match the assumption you accepted internally. So tonight, before you sleep, I want you to try something unusual. Do not imagine the moment your desire arrives. Do not stop at the point of getting it. That still carries the emotional energy of waiting and transition. Instead, move further ahead in time. Go to the point where your desire has already been fulfilled long enough to feel completely natural. If you want financial freedom, don't picture the instant money arrives. Imagine yourself months later, after stability has already become your normal life. Bills are handled without stress. You no longer react emotionally to money because abundance feels familiar now. It is simply the way life is. If you desire love, don't visualize the first meeting or the beginning of a relationship. Move ahead to a time when the relationship has already settled into your everyday reality. The connection feels comfortable, steady, deeply familiar. You cannot even fully remember what life felt like before this person entered it. If you are seeking healing, don't focus on recovery starting. Go further ahead. Imagine yourself long after your body has returned to health. Your strength feels normal again. Your energy is natural. You are no longer thinking about healing because wellness has already become your ordinary experience. This is important. Always go beyond the moment of becoming and enter the feeling of already being. The state after fulfillment carries a completely different emotional signature. It is relaxed, stable, quiet. It says, "This is simply my life now." From that place, begin remembering backward. Do not ask yourself how it might happen. Recall how it already happened. That changes everything. Let's say your dream is owning a beautiful home. Most people would imagine receiving the keys or walking into the house for the first time. But tonight, I want you to move beyond that scene. Imagine yourself living there 6 months later. Everything is unpacked. You know every room. Your routines already exist there. It no longer feels new. It feels like home. Now from that future position, begin remembering. I still remember the day we got the keys. After all the uncertainty, everything suddenly fell into place. I remember standing in the driveway calling someone I love, barely believing it was finally real. I remember waking up here the first morning and seeing the sunlight through the window, realizing this was truly my home. Notice the difference. You are not hoping anymore. You are not trying to force belief. You are remembering. And memory carries a level of certainty that wishful thinking can never produce. A memory feels unquestioned, finished, accepted. That is the state that impresses the subconscious mind most deeply. Your subconscious does not operate through logic or calendars. It does not experience time the way your conscious mind does. To the deeper mind, a vividly felt memory, whether physical or imagined, is still processed as experience. And when you repeatedly return to the feeling of already remembering your fulfilled desire, the subconscious accepts it as fact. Once that happens, invisible changes begin taking place. Ideas appear at the perfect time. Conversations happen naturally. You suddenly notice possibilities that were always around you, but outside your previous self-image. Doors open in ways you could never have predicted. The bridge between where you are and where you want to be starts forming on its own. Not because you forced reality, not because you figured out every step, but because your inner state changed first. And here is one of the most powerful parts of this entire process. When you truly remember something as already completed, you stop obsessing over how it will happen. Think about it. When you remember an event from your past, you do not sit there wondering how it happened. You already know it did. The details no longer matter because the outcome is already established in your mind. This naturally creates detachment. Not forced detachment where you pretend not to care, but genuine release, born from certainty. From the position of someone remembering the fulfillment, there is no anxiety about timing or method. It already unfolded somehow. The path already revealed itself. Your only job is to remain faithful to the inner experience. And when you stop interfering with constant doubt and overthinking, life has space to move in ways your conscious mind could never design. The universe has countless ways to bring things together, far more intelligent and precise than anything you could plan manually. I once spoke with a woman who had been trying to manifest a certain amount of money for a long time. She had done every technique she knew. She visualized receiving it every day. She repeated affirmations constantly. She journaled faithfully and stayed committed to the process. Yet nothing changed. The problem became obvious the moment she explained her practice. Every night she imagined the money arriving. She kept emotionally placing herself in the moment right before fulfillment. She was always in the state of almost there, always waiting for the event to happen. And because her consciousness remained fixed in anticipation, her reality continued reflecting delay. So I told her to stop imagining the arrival completely. Instead, I asked her to imagine herself months after the money had already become part of her normal life. I told her to feel what it would be like to casually pay bills without stress, to wake up without financial fear, to remember the old struggle as something already behind her. That one shift changed everything. Stop placing yourself in the moment before your desire arrives. Instead, move beyond it completely. Imagine yourself months later, already living inside the reality you once wanted. The money is already there. The down payment has been made. You're already settled into the home. And from that future position, look backward and remember how it all unfolded. Don't picture the money arriving as if it's still on its way. Recall it the same way you would remember something that happened last week. Calmly, naturally, like a fact of your life. I once shared this shift with someone who had been struggling for months, trying to manifest financial support. Every technique she practiced kept her emotionally stuck in anticipation. She was always waiting for the breakthrough, always imagining the exact instant things would finally change. And without realizing it, she remained mentally attached to not yet. So I told her to stop focusing on the arrival entirely. Instead, I asked her to place herself 3 months ahead, already living in the reality where the problem had been solved. I told her to sit in the feeling of stability and then remember backward. Remember the relief. Remember the day it all came together. Remember the moment she realized it was done. She practiced this every night for 2 weeks, and something important happened before anything changed physically. The pressure disappeared. The fear loosened. The desperation faded naturally. Not because she forced herself to detach, but because from the perspective of someone remembering fulfillment, There was nothing left to chase. The money had already come in her inner experience. And once her state changed internally, life responded. A few weeks later, an aunt she rarely spoke to unexpectedly offered her the exact amount she needed as part of an early inheritance arrangement. The solution arrived through a path she never would have predicted, from a connection she had barely thought about in years. It happened quietly, easily, almost as if reality had been waiting for her to finally accept that it was already hers. This is why the language you use matters so much. Your words shape the emotional atmosphere of consciousness. Instead of saying, "I hope the money comes," shift into the feeling of remembrance. I still remember when that whole financial situation finally resolved. I remember the relief washing over me. I remember trying to explain it to my family while laughing because it all felt so unreal at first. Funny how normal it feels now. For love, don't say I'm trying to attract someone. Instead, I remember when we first met. I remember how effortless the conversation felt after spending so long waiting for the right connection. I remember thinking, so this is what real love feels like. It's amazing how quickly this relationship became part of my everyday life. For health, stop repeating, "I'm trying to heal." Move into remembrance. I remember when everything started changing. I remember the doctor's expression during that appointment. I remember waking up one morning and realizing the discomfort was simply gone. It's strange to think about now because feeling healthy has become so normal again. For career success, instead of "I'm working toward my dream job," say, "I remember my first week in that position. I remember how surreal it felt walking into that office, knowing this was truly my life now. I still smile when I think about how impossible it once seemed." Do you notice the shift? The entire tone changes, the energy changes, the feeling changes. There is no strain in it, no pleading, no emotional grasping. It carries the calm certainty of something already completed. That is the language of fulfillment. Now, some people hear this teaching and immediately ask an important question. Isn't this just pretending? Isn't creating memories of something that hasn't happened yet a form of self-deception? No, and understanding why is essential. At the level of consciousness, these teachings point toward your desire is not something being created from nothing in the future. It already exists as a potential reality within the infinite field of consciousness. Every version of life already exists in some form. Every possibility, every path. What you experience physically is simply the unfolding of the state you consistently identify with internally. Creation is not happening for the first time the moment you see it physically. Physical reality is the visible expression of a state that was first accepted inwardly. So when you imagine your fulfilled desire as a memory, you are not inventing fantasy. You are tuning yourself into a reality that already exists beyond the limitations of linear time. You are emotionally connecting with a version of life that is already available within consciousness. The memory is not fake. It is recognition. It is your awareness reaching beyond present appearances and touching the reality you want to experience. You are closing the distance between your current identity and the version of yourself who already lives that life. And this is why the method feels so powerful when practiced correctly. Not because you are forcing your subconscious to believe a lie, but because you are aligning yourself with the deeper truth before the outer world catches up to it. The physical world always responds last. First comes the inner assumption, then comes identification. Then comes emotional acceptance. And finally, reality reflects it outwardly. Your job is not to force manifestation into existence. Your job is to become inwardly familiar with the reality you desire until it feels natural, ordinary, and remembered. Because once something feels internally real, life begins moving to mirror it. The outer world is never the source. It is always the response. Physical reality is the reflection, not the creator. It reacts after consciousness moves, not before. And the moment you stop speaking to life through uncertainty and begin approaching it with the calm certainty of memory, the reflection has no choice but to change. That is why this practice is so powerful. And the practice itself is actually very simple. In the morning, before you even get out of bed, take just a couple of quiet minutes for yourself. Don't start thinking about your problems or checking your circumstances. Instead, mentally move yourself into the version of life where your desire has already been fulfilled for a long time. Not the moment it arrives. Go beyond that. Enter the stage where it has already become part of your normal experience. You are already living there. From that place, gently look backward and remember how it all unfolded. Feel the quiet reality of that already happened. Let that be the emotional tone you carry into the day. Then, throughout the day, pay attention to the direction of your thoughts. This matters more than people realize. Whenever your desire comes to mind, notice whether you are mentally reaching toward it, hoping for it, wondering when it will arrive, or worrying about how it could happen. If you catch yourself doing that, stop and shift your perspective immediately. Instead of looking ahead, look back. Oh, right, that already worked out. I remember when everything changed. It's amazing how naturally it all came together. Even if you hold that state for only a few seconds, you are redirecting consciousness from waiting to remembering, from lack to completion. And then at night, before sleep, do the deeper version of the practice. Close your eyes and mentally step into your future. Move far enough ahead that your desire no longer feels dramatic or new. It has become ordinary now. Comfortable, stable, you have adjusted to it emotionally. Live there for a moment. Feel how normal it feels. Then begin remembering backward. Remember the phone call. Remember the conversation. Remember the moment you realized it was finally real. Remember the first morning after everything changed. Make the memories detailed and vivid. Give them texture, emotion, atmosphere. Let them feel like real experiences your mind naturally returns to. And then fall asleep in that feeling. Not in longing, not in effort, not in trying to force belief. Fall asleep remembering. Because the subconscious mind responds most deeply in those quiet moments before sleep. When you drift into rest, carrying the emotional certainty of completion, your deeper mind continues working without resistance, quietly arranging inner and outer conditions to match the reality you accepted as true. Now let me take this one step deeper, because this is where the real understanding begins. When you imagine yourself in the future, remembering backward, you are not actually traveling through time. Time itself is not as fixed and separate as we have been taught to believe. Past, present, and future are not isolated locations existing far away from one another. They all exist within consciousness simultaneously. Consciousness itself exists beyond time. It contains every possibility, the way an ocean contains every wave. What you call the future is not somewhere ahead of you waiting to be created. It already exists as a completed reality within consciousness. The only reason it feels distant is because physical perception unfolds slowly, one moment at a time. But beneath physical appearance, the reality already exists. This is why remembering your fulfilled desire is so transformative. You are not inventing fantasy. You are removing the illusion that your desire is absent. You are aligning yourself with something that already exists at the deeper level of consciousness before the outer world has reflected it physically. In other words, your desire is not becoming real someday. It is already real now in consciousness. The physical world is simply catching up. And once you truly understand this, manifestation stops feeling like struggle. You stop chasing, you stop forcing, you stop treating your dreams like distant possibilities floating somewhere beyond reach. Instead, you begin relating to them as completed realities that you are gradually becoming aware of. That changes your entire inner posture toward life. The state of waiting disappears. The emotional pressure dissolves. You no longer feel like someone begging reality to change. You feel like someone remembering what has already been established at a deeper level. That is why this method creates such peace when practiced sincerely. Because remembering carries no strain. A memory doesn't fight to exist. It simply is. And the more naturally you return to that state, the more your outer life begins reorganizing around it. So tonight, before you sleep, close your eyes and move beyond the moment of arrival. Go beyond the excitement, beyond the transition. Step fully into the life where your desire has already been yours long enough to feel ordinary. Sit there quietly. Feel the normalness of it. Let yourself experience the calm of no longer wanting, because it is already part of your reality. Then gently look backward. Remember how it happened. Remember the relief you felt. Remember the words you spoke. Remember who you called afterward. Remember waking up the next morning and realizing it was still true. Allow those memories to become emotionally real inside you. Give them the quiet weight that real memories carry. Not dramatic, not forced, just settled, familiar, complete, and then fall asleep there. Not hoping, not wishing, not trying to reach into the future for something missing, simply remembering.